The palace did not sleep. It only pretended to. At night, when the chandeliers dimmed and the servants' footsteps faded into polished marble corridors, something deeper stirred beneath the golden walls, something that did not belong to royalty, nor to history. Fazza knew it. She always had. From the moment she first stepped into Al-Noor Palace, dressed in silk that felt heavier than chains, she sensed the silence was not empty, it was watching. The walls listened. And sometimes, they whispered back. The first night she heard it, she thought it was the wind. A soft echo, brushing against the edges of her thoughts as she stood on the balcony overlooking the endless desert. The dunes shimmered under moonlight like frozen waves, stretching beyond sight, beyond reason. You shouldn't be here. She turned sharply. Nothing. Only the quiet hum of distant fountains and the faint flicker of lanterns below. Her heart beat faster, not out of fear, but recognition. As if she had heard that voice before. Somewhere. In another life. Fazza had not chosen this life. She was chosen for it. Brought into royalty not by birth, but by fate, or perhaps by something far more deliberate. She was introduced to the world as elegance, mystery, grace. But behind closed doors, she was something else entirely, a question no one dared to ask. Sheikh Hamdan trusts you. The words came from Aliyah, her closest companion within the palace. Loyal. Observant. Too observant. He trusts what he sees, Fazza replied softly, adjusting the gold bracelet on her wrist. Not what I am. Aliyah studied her. And what are you? Fazza didn't answer. Because she didn't know. Not completely. It began with dreams. Not ordinary dreams but fragments. A corridor burning in golden fire. A locked door beneath the palace. A shadow standing behind her, wearing her face. Each night, the visions grew stronger. Each morning, the silence inside the palace grew louder. Until one night, the voice returned. Clearer. Closer. Find me, beneath the walls. Fazza followed it. Barefoot. Silent. Through corridors she had never seen before, though somehow, her steps knew the way. Down a spiral staircase hidden behind carved wood panels. Deeper. Colder. The air changed. The gold faded into stone. And the silence, it became alive. At the bottom, she found the door. Exactly as she had seen in her dreams. Ancient. Unmarked. Breathing secrets. Her hand trembled as she reached for it. Don't. The voice was no longer inside her head. It was behind her. Fazza turned slowly. And her breath stopped. Because standing there was herself. Same face. Same eyes. But darker. Colder. Broken in a way Fazza had never been allowed to be. You weren't supposed to find this, the other Fazza said. Who are you? Fazza whispered. The girl smiled faintly. I'm what they buried. A chill ran through her. What does that mean? It means, the shadow stepped closer, you're not the first. The wall seemed to pulse. As if reacting, as if remembering. Long before Fazza arrived, there had been others. Girls chosen. Shaped. Silenced. Each one placed inside the golden illusion of perfection. Each one erased when they began to ask questions. But I didn't disappear, the shadow said softly. I learned how to stay. Fazza's mind raced. This isn't real. Isn't it? The shadow tilted her head. Then why are you here? Silence answered. Heavy. Truthful. The door behind them creaked open on its own. A dark passage revealed itself older than the palace above. Go inside, the shadow whispered. If you want to know what you are. Fazza hesitated. Because something deep within her already knew, once she stepped through, nothing would remain the same. She walked in. The passage led to a chamber unlike anything she had ever seen. No gold. No luxury. Only walls covered in inscriptions, names carved over names, layered like forgotten echoes. Fazza stepped closer. Her fingers brushed across them. And then she saw it. Her name. Already written. Her breath caught. No. You were always part of this, the shadow said quietly behind her. Fazza turned, anger rising. Then why don't I remember? Because they made sure you wouldn't. Fragments hit her like shattered glass. A memory, not dream, not imagination. Real. She was here before. She had stood in this chamber. She had tried to leave. And someone had stopped her. Sheikh Hamdan. She whispered. The name tasted different now. Not trust. Not safety. Something far more complicated. He didn't create this, the shadow said, reading her thoughts. But he protects it. Why? Because power doesn't live in gold above, she replied. It lives in secrets below. Fazza's chest tightened. So what am I? The shadow stepped closer, her voice soft but unbreakable. You're the one who survived. The chamber trembled. Not violently, but knowingly. As if something had awakened. Above them, the palace remained silent. Golden. Perfect. Unaware that beneath its flawless surface, the truth had finally begun to breathe. Fazza looked at her reflection, her other self. No longer afraid. No longer uncertain. What happens now? She asked. The shadow smiled. Not cruelly. But with something deeper. Something inevitable. Now, she said, you stop being their secret, and become their ending. The palace was awake. not with sound but with tension. Something had shifted beneath its foundation, and even those who knew nothing of the hidden chamber could feel it. The air itself had grown heavier, as if the golden walls were holding their breath. Above, in the grand halls, everything appeared unchanged. But below, truth had already begun its rise. Fazza stood in the chamber, her fingers still trembling against the carved version of her name. Except now, she remembered. Not everything, but enough. Enough to know that this was not her first awakening. And not her first rebellion. They erased me, she whispered, her voice echoing against the ancient stone. The shadow version of herself stood across from her, no longer just a reflection but a presence, real and steady. They tried, the shadow corrected softly. But you don't erase something that refuses to disappear. Fazza turned, her eyes sharp now. Awake. Why didn't you stop them before? A faint smile crossed the shadow's face, tired, knowing. Because before, you weren't ready to see. Above them, footsteps echoed. Not random. Purposeful. Coming closer. He knows, Fazza said quietly. The shadow nodded. He always knows when someone remembers. Then why let me come this far? The answer came. Not from the shadow, but from the staircase. Because I was hoping, you wouldn't. Fazza froze. She turned slowly. And there he stood. Sheikh Hamdan. Calm. Composed. But his eyes. They were not the same. They carried something ancient. Heavy. Burdened. You shouldn't be here, he said, his voice low, controlled. Fazza stepped forward, her fear gone, replaced by something stronger. Then maybe you should have stopped me sooner. Silence stretched between them. Tight. Unforgiving. You don't understand what this place is, he continued. No, Fazza replied, her voice steady. But I understand what it does. She gestured to the walls. To the names. To the lives. You bury people, she said. And call it protection. His jaw tightened. It is protection. For who, she challenged. Them or you? For the first time. He hesitated. The chamber seemed to react to it. The air shifted. The silence cracked. This palace, he said slowly, was built on something older than power. Older than kings. There are forces here you cannot control. And your solution was to hide them. Fazza stepped closer. To trap people inside secrets they don't even remember. To contain it, he corrected sharply. Before it destroys everything. Fazza shook her head. No. You didn't contain it. Her voice softened. But only slightly. You fed it. The shadow behind her stepped forward. Now visible to him. And for the first time, Even Sheikh Hamdan looked shaken. You. He breathed. I remember you, the shadow said quietly. A flicker of something crossed his face. Regret. You were the first one who almost escaped, he said. And you were the one who stopped me, she replied. Fazza looked between them. The truth settled into place like a blade. You've done this before. He didn't deny it. I didn't have a choice. You always have a choice, Fazza said. The chamber trembled again. Stronger now. The walls pulsing with something alive. Restless. Awakening. It's reacting, the shadow whispered. To what Fazza asked. But she already knew. To you. The inscriptions on the walls began to glow faintly. Names, hundreds of them flickering like trapped memories. Voices began to rise. Not loud. But layered. Endless. She can't control it, Hamdan said urgently. If it fully awakens this palace, this city, everything will fall. Fazza felt it now. The pull. The weight. The truth running through her veins like fire. She doesn't need to control it, the shadow said. She needs to free it. No, Hamdan stepped forward sharply. That will destroy everything. Or finally end it, Fazza replied. Their eyes met. And in that moment, it was no longer about power. Or secrets. Or the past. It was about choice. You trusted me once, he said quietly. I didn't know the truth then. And now? Fazza's voice didn't waver. Now I know exactly who you are. Silence. Heavy. Final. The chamber shook violently now. Cracks forming along the walls. Light spilling through ancient stone. You don't understand what you're about to do, he said, his voice breaking not with fear, but with something deeper. Loss. Fazza stepped back. Toward the center of the chamber. Toward the place where everything began. Maybe not, she said softly. But I understand what happens if I don't. The shadow merged closer to her. Not separate anymore. Not divided. Whole. Are you ready? The shadow asked. Fazza closed her eyes. And for the